Any other comments from the public? Ms. Emerson?
I just have a question. I haven't read the ordinance, and my question is in regard to the A-frame signs downtown. With the permit, are they placed against the curb or against the building?
My understanding is I'll let Mr. Dowswell answer that more effectively than I can.
We still need to develop that criteria, council member, as part of the encroachment permit process, and it will probably vary on the circumstance. Depending on the individual business, we will probably work with them and see what they have in the way of structures in front of their storefront. For example, there could be a planter area like you find in front of Brett Lieber's building space, where obviously he won't be able to put it, but maybe there's an area closer to the building that will work. And we also have to be cognizant of the ADA issue. So there won't be a hard and fast rule,
Right.
but it will likely be either closer to the curb in an area where it won't cause a problem for people getting out of the vehicle or up against the building.
In reference to the building that you mentioned on First Street, my memory serves me correctly, there's some lawn area in front of each of those buildings, then the sidewalk, and then I think some more lawn area, or at least the curb. And the A-frame signs that I've seen that advertise Heavenly Gifts and Hobby, and there's another one for construction or something, that is on the lawn prior to the sidewalk, so there is no impediment of the sidewalk at that point.
That's correct, but I'm talking in town itself, where Brett Lieber's Realty office is, and the Sweet Stuff Cafe. There isn't that situation. It's entirely city right-of-way. There is no landscaping other than that little strip that you see in front of the building. And again, because of his situation, he won't be able to put it in that landscape area that the city controls.
Correct.
But he may be able to put it up against the building. There are other instances where there's a garbage can or a tree, one of our potted trees.
Yeah, not to rat off a business or anything, but I noticed the Comfort Furniture sign sits on the sidewalk with it being right adjacent to the curb.
Yeah, we have, in the last 4 months or so, have just sort of left things.
I know he's going out of
limbo.
business, or that business is closing. I'm not sure.
Right,
if
but
they're
we
going out
would
of
still
business.
work with him, even in the interim before he closes. Once we got the ordinance adopted, then that was the time we would make the contacts to the businesses in the downtown that are locating their signs on our right-of-way. Okay. So that they could be aware of the new ordinance.
Did that answer your question, Ms. Emerson?
The reason for the question is when I have a passenger in the car taking my dad downtown, there are certain parking spaces with the potted trees that we can't utilize without whacking the pot. So, and I don't like to do that, or my car door. So I just wondered if these signs would pose that type of a problem as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Simmons?
Larry Simmons. I too haven't read the ordinance, but does this take into account special event signs as appear on the old party lot, quite a few of them? And I think they're useful public event notices, but would those be curtailed or seriously controlled by the ordinance? That's one question. And in general, along the same line, there's sometimes advertisements for a while for a periodic event that's of community interest that's placed up. And would that be unallowed? That's the kind of questions things that do serve the community and are not an obstruction to the public. Are these kind of things going to be disallowed?
My understanding is no, but
I'll address the Party Market site is the site, and I agree, as you drive into that area, you see what's going on. There's a Rotary crab feed, or there's the waterfowl dinner, and currently the agency owns that land, and we have been silent on those signs as long as they are representative of the community. So they're not a political sign, they're actually a community event. The Dixon Mayfair, for example, would qualify. So we've allowed those signs to go up, and they have been I would say they're not professionally done in some cases, but as long as they're readable and they're maintained and they're put up properly, we have allowed that, and we will continue to allow that. You know, at this time, you know, we have no changes. This ordinance does not apply to that site because it's owned by the redevelopment agency.
Well, some way or another, I think it has to be addressed because there might be other comparable sites. And what about a sign for the farmer's market? You place, of course, the street is closed, but you place signs where they're not normally placed and advertising it. Would that be not allowed, or need a special permit, or what?
My understanding, that would be a temporary sign just for that particular event, but
3 or 4 days, you know, or one day, yes.
one day.
Yeah. Would that be allowed?
I don't know if that's the correct response, but that's
I'm
how
just
I
being-
would, that would be my
For
interpretation.
example, of the farmer's market sign, that
It's a
could be placed on the
temporary
party
sign.
market
It's a
site,
temporary sign.
you know.
But I mean, they advertise at the site of the farmer's market too. Several signs will appear there, I thought my memory served me correctly.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not sure where the farmer's market's gonna be. If it's gonna be inside the park, then they
Okay.
work with Jeff Matheson on the actual,
I-
because using Women's Improvement Park, they do signs inside the park during the
Yeah,
the
I
event.
guess the
And we
street's
work
open.
with them.
The
We work
street
with
is
them on
open
that.
now, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
so I think most of the business is in the park now.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to speak to